Back on April 18th, Roosevelt police were called to investigate an alleged sexting ring involving students at Union High School. Police records obtained by KSL show at least 27 people were reported to be involved, including suspects and victims. That was nearly 7 months ago.
And as of tonight, there have been zero repercussions. Mike and the KSL investigators went in search of answers to find out why.
Yeah, Dave Deeney, let's be clear here. In that police report, this case is dealing with allegations of child pornography. A parent says their child felt afraid, harassed, and threatened. One student saying they were badgered into sending nude photos. So, other than taking a police report 7 months ago, has anything been done?
In a town of roughly 7,000 people, you can bet whatever the story, it travels.
Technically, it is a rumor, but...
And it travels fast.
It was a whole ring, it was the whole school, everyone was affected, no matter if you were directly involved or not.
Cheyenne Spencer is a senior at Union High School, and that ring she's talking about involving her classmates is more than a rumor. It's an investigation now at the highest level of the state. In an 8-page report by Roosevelt police, it details the 18 suspects allegedly involved in this sexting ring and the 9 young girls who likely never even knew they were victims.
People were just wanting to keep it hidden and keep it underneath the radar.
According to police reports, this is how the ring operated. Male students would solicit female students for nude images. Once a pornographic photo or video was sent to one, it was then shared with all who were part of this alleged Snapchat group. A group police records show in order to be a part of, someone must exchange a nude image of a person they know. And the details are disturbing. Girls solicited for nude images and sex, sending nude photos, receiving nude photos, a pornographic video of a teen masturbating, then asking the girl to send a pornographic video in return. In one case, police reports reveal a 17-year-old boy confessed to video recording sex acts with a 16-year-old girl, then posted it on a Snapchat forum for other male members to view. The underage girl says she never consented to the sex acts being filmed and did not consent to the videos being posted for others to view.
From the police report, the initial one, 18 people who were involved in this, suspects, so to speak, and 9 people who were affected by this were victims. Is that significant to you?
What do you mean by victims?
That's Stephen Foote, top prosecutor in Duchesne County. And what we mean by victims is a reported 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 underage girls. Some saying they were asked daily, badgered, humiliated, degraded, and reluctantly sending nude photos of themselves to boys. Those were the ones willing to tell their stories to police, something sex abuse counselors will tell you is hard to do.
There are a ton of reasons why someone might not want to speak out. I think definitely the core of it is fear of not being believed.
And yet 6 months after the police investigation began, and Foote's office still has not prosecuted a single boy. One reason, police never gave them a final report.
Are they not doing their job? Did they not get enough information in the investigation?
I don't want to talk bad about police. I think that they've tried to do their job at some points. At some points, some things have not been done well.
Like what?
Like originally, the phones probably should have been seized upon initial finding out of the case. There were some that were seized later in the game, but too late to find anything on them.
In a supplemental report by Roosevelt Police Chief Rick Harrison, it says eventually 5 phones were taken as evidence. Just 5 phones from the alleged 2017s involved, which means 80% of the phone evidence was never even looked at.
So they didn't have cell phones until you requested them to confiscate cell phones. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, the voice you're hearing is Anthony Wilcox, Foote's deputy attorney working juvenile cases. He says by the time phones were confiscated by police weeks after the initial report, it was too late.
The evidence no longer exists, and it'll make it hard to proceed with the case.
Wilcox says he told police to further investigate. That was 5 months ago. And since then, he has seen no more searching for evidence, no more interviewing suspects, and no more testimony from victims. On paper, it appears police have done nothing. And let's be honest here, it is tough to prosecute a case if police never finish the investigation. For months, the KSL investigators tried getting answers from Chief Harrison, but he refused to answer calls and refused to return messages. So we traveled 143 miles to Roosevelt, walked into the police station.
I'm looking for Chief Harrison.
And straight up asked for him. And then we waited. 5, 10, 15, 20, nearly 30 minutes later. And an officer who is not Chief Harrison makes his way out.
Why does nobody want to talk to me about this?
And informs us the chief was no longer at the station.
Did he leave once we got here? I don't know when he left.
Well, fortunately, the 12 surveillance cameras throughout the station know exactly when he left. Just 7 minutes after we showed up asking, the chief can be seen hurrying down the hallway, out the back door, into the Sallyport, and finally driving off in his truck. While the chief appears to be hiding from our questions, the county attorney...
Why would you ask that question? What are you here for today?
Well, he appears to be irritated with our questions, especially the one where we ask...
Is there a conflict here?
There could be.
Turns out, one of those boys not prosecuted...
You don't know if there's a conflict of interest in this case.
There could be.
Just happens to have very close ties with someone in Foot's office.
It was pretty early in the process that our office decided that we would have a conflict.
That could be family members, friends, close relatives, something like that?
That's correct. That's correct.
And while the deputy attorney openly talked about it, if you dare ask his boss...
Is there a conflict?
We're not going to talk about
I don't want
those
names.
issues.
How about this? I don't want
I'm not
any
going to talk
names.
about any conflicts. I'm not going to talk about anybody's issues, any parent's child. I'm not talking about any of those things. It's not going to be said. It's not going to be answered.
Not going to be answered. And so far, not going to be prosecuted. In a town of roughly 7,000 people, stories travel.
It was huge.
And they travel fast. And months after KSL started asking questions, the details of this investigation have now been turned over to the state attorney general's office.
It does ruin people's lives.
But with so little evidence gathered, it's difficult to see a story where the lives of these 9 victims will ever get justice.
And now that the case is in the hands of the Utah Attorney General's office, they will review all the evidence, which they do not have a lot of, as you saw in the story, and then screen the case for charges. Could be weeks, maybe even months, before these 27 kids know the outcome.